Alright, so this is an overview of the Tempi self-development diary that I use and would like to one day turn into an app or a more official version that other people can use. I log a time, energy, mood, progress, and ideas score from 0 to 100. That's for another time over all the details of deciding what to score for each day. But basically at the end of each day, I will rate all 5 of those factors from 0 to 100. It will automatically average those out down here at the bottom. I've got some recalibration markers for all of those, so I make sure that I'm consistent when 80 or 825 or whatever number means generally the same thing over time, and a 60 now means the same as a 60 did 2 years ago and will mean 2 years from now. With that said, this is a log, pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go ahead and put those numbers in, and then also right-click on the given day and write in what you did on that day. You can do it in bullet notes like I like to do, just 3 to 5 lines, maybe 6 or 7, just get the gist of what was done on the day. There are some people I know that like to write in quirky facts about what they did that day and kind of turn it more into a memory, memorial sort of diary deal. So it really is up to you. Second tab is monthly data. So this just takes the monthly averages for January, February, March, and it's all these different months going all the way back to 2016. Color codes them, scale between 33 and 67, so this is about as red as you're going to see here. 34 average, which is pretty low average for 30 days. 31 days, a pretty long time to average 34. Then over here, 66. So that's the highest and the lowest I personally experienced in a month, and that's where I decided to draw the color coding lines from 33 to 67. The relative is going to be slightly different, so for a month here, like one that says 42, these 46 and these two markers here that were 46 are actually going to be relatively to the month positive scores. So these are very interesting to keep an eye on if you overall have a month that's pretty far away from 50 and you want to see what's strong and weak overall. Again, this February too, 55, almost 56 in that range. But these 3 of the 5 scores were under the 55. So they've got red scores, and 2 of them are not only over 50, but they're also over the monthly average of 55. Also here marking the percentage of days in a given month that go over 50, and the percentage of trait scores over 50. So these are different because if you have a day, or if you have a month with 30 days, and 20 of those days are over 50, you're going to get a 2/3 mark, or about 67%. For the day 50. But trait is very different because it's actually saying if you wrote 30, 50, 30, 50, 30. 2 of those scores reached 50, and 3 of them didn't. So that would be a 40% score on the day. It's going to average all of those out. So generally, trait scores can be closer to 50 than the day score. To demonstrate again, we'll go back here to June. The daily score, or the day 50 thing, is going to be looking at this column here and how many of these days in the month, or how many of these scores in a given month are over 50. While the trait 50 metric is looking at all of these numbers. So from June 1st to June 30th, times the 5 different traits, so 150 different scores. It's doing a lot more averaging monthly, and that's why it's usually closer to 50%, almost all the time. Max and minimum, very straightforward. It's just the highest and lowest score that I get for each month. And then finally, these 2 are much less useful, but I still like to use them. Uniqueness between traits marks how close or far apart these numbers are here between each other. So for example, June is pretty high because these 2 numbers are so far above these numbers, while another month, let's look over here, June, we've got a 10, score of 10. Over here, we've got up in September 2018 a score of 1.3 because all of these scores are so close to each other. They're between 48 and 51. So they're very close, whereas here they're very far apart. Roller coaster is kind of similar, but different in its own way. It's going to take the standard deviation back on the log sheet for that month, all 30 days or 31 days in that month. So a day where it's high, for example, let's look and see January. That means that on average, the average day, I believe, is 8 or so away from the 51 score. So a lot of days that were 35, 40, 50, 60, 65, all over the map in January, all over the place. Whereas this past June, the score was actually pretty low. So that means that almost every day, even though the UBT trait, all of these are far apart from each other, overall the average day was pretty similar. Most of the days are 3.7 or between 50 and 55 almost all the time. So a very stable month as far as the scores went. RxI is a lot of fun, but it's really in a beta stage right now. So I've got 3 different column areas. The first one is all the raw values from log. It's just copied and pasted over. The second column here is a 30-day rolling average. So the 59.5 generated right here on April 15th is going to be a 30-day rolling average going all the way back to March 16th. For progress, I've actually made it an average of the 28 and 35-day rolling averages. So it's not to do a 30-day rolling average. You have sometimes you'd include 5 sets of the weekend, sometimes you'd include 4 sets of the weekends, and I can make the progress chart just look really, really bouncy for no reason. So I prefer to do numbers divisible by 7 for progress, but for the rest of them I do a 30-day rolling average, pretty straightforward there. On the right-hand side here, this is also kind of a rolling average, but instead of doing a 30-day rolling average, for example, March 31st is going to be taking March 1st all the way up to March 31st, actually a 31-day rolling average. This rightmost column is going to give you a 10% adjustment each day. So for example, if your average is 50 and then next day is 60, it's going to do a 10% adjustment. So the new average is going to be the difference of them, which is 10 times 10%, or 1, so it's going to go up to 51. And the next day the score were 31, we bring the average down to 49. So that is how this side works. Then down here I've got visualizations of everything. So I have ideas in blue, progress in red, mood in green, energy in orange, and then time in gray. But then you can also look, these scores are the 30-day rolling averages. And then over here you can also look at the 10% adjustment scores. You can see they are a little bit more haphazard. For example, we will look at progress quickly, compare the progress rolling average with the progress 10% adjustment daily. You can see that there are higher highs and lower lows with this methodology here on the right-hand side. Then I also have zoomed into the past year. You can kind of watch everything go down and up, and it's just kind of neat to theorize why, and try different things, introduce new habits, and theorize why different things are different ways, and why progress went up here, and why energy was so low here, and why different things just shoot up, crash down all over the place, and kind of be very interesting to play around with. So hopefully this is useful. I do hope to eventually turn this into an app. Thank you to whoever watched this, and talk to you soon.